Michigan football is always seen as one of those schools that has the talent and the potential to be good, but they never put it all together. Will that be the case in 2021? I honestly don't know. If you look back in years past, Michigan has had some really good teams, but they can never get over the Ohio State hump, and it causes a lot of people to ask, are they legit or not? Well, after 2 straight seasons of underperforming, it looks like Jim Harbaugh has the Michigan Wolverines on the right track this year. And in today's video, I want to talk about this year's team, my favorite storylines from it, and we're going to talk about how they're going to finish and if they're legit or not. But before we get into that, nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel for the upcoming season, and we can do better than that. So be sure to hit that button, smash that like button for the algorithm, turn on post notifications, and let me know another topic I can do next. Now, let's get started and talk about Michigan football. So I definitely want to first bring it back all the way to the beginning of the Harbaugh era and understand how Michigan got to this point. Harbaugh was hired as the Michigan man after Brady Hoke continually got worse, and immediately so much hype was brought to the Michigan program. Immediately, many thought that Harbaugh would turn it around, and he had some pretty solid players and a really interesting 2015 season. At the time, Jake Rudock was the quarterback, Davion Smith was the star running back, and they had a 3-headed monster of J. Hugh Chesson, Amara Darboh, and Jake Butt in the receiving game. You can also not forget Jabril Peppers and Jordan Lewis. 2015 was a weird year. They lost on the road in Utah in week 1, then went ahead and won 5 straight games, including shutouts against number 22 BYU and number 13 Northwestern. From there, they had game day against number 7 Michigan State. In what was one of the greatest games of all time, we saw Michigan mess up their punt, and Spartan linebacker Jalen Moss Jackson took it back for a touchdown with no time remaining, and this was one of the craziest finishes in college football history. They didn't avoid the fireworks, as the following week against Minnesota, it took a goal line stand to win that game, and then they needed 2 overtimes to beat Indiana 2 weeks later. They then went on the road to play Penn State, and now it would be Harbaugh's first matchup in the game. Number 8 Ohio State dominated from start to finish and won 42-13. Luckily for Michigan fans and the program, they beat number 19 Florida in the Citrus Bowl pretty easily, and they finished this first year 10-3. This was great for them. Add in a number 1 recruiting class headlined by Rashawn Gary and Jabril Peppers being back, this Michigan team was only going to get better. 2016 had Wilton Speight become the new starting quarterback, and they had a 4-headed monster at running back with Davion Smith, Chris Evans, Karan Higdon, and Ty Isaac, all getting a lot of touchdowns and yards. Amara Darboh, Jake Butt, and Chesson were once again the main receivers, and this team was ready for a playoff run. They easily won their first few games against Hawaii, UCF, Colorado, and Penn State before they had a top 10 matchup with number 8 Wisconsin. This was a grinded out Big Ten style football game, and they won 14-7. They then gave Rutgers one of their worst losses in school history with a 78-0 win, and took care of their rival Michigan State on the road. Then they went to Iowa. This game was close, and Michigan definitely played down the competition, and as we all know, Iowa kicked a game-winning field goal and won. This put a damper on the year, but if they could just survive their next 2 games, they could still go to the playoff. They beat Indiana in a snow game, which was really fun, and then they had the game against Ohio State. This game went back and forth, and sadly for Michigan fans, we'll never know if JT Barrett actually got that first down or not, but they gave it to him, and Curtis Samuel ran it in on the next play. This was a soul-crushing loss, and it eliminated them from the Big Ten Championship and the College Football Playoff, and then they lost by way of a game-winning touchdown pass to Florida State in the Orange Bowl. They once again finished 10-3, and expectations were high going into 2017. This is where things would get weird, as with Speight getting injured, they had John O'Korn, Brandon Peters, and Speight all see time at quarterback, and it was very inconsistent all year. Karan Higdon, Chris Evans, and Ty Isaac were once again the 3-headed monster at running back, and they didn't have a single receiver catch more than 3 touchdowns, which became a problem and could be traced back to the quarterback play. Despite that, they still had a good start to the year, as they beat number 17 Florida, went on the road and beat a hot Purdue team, and also won 5 Big Ten games. Sadly, I forgot to mention, they lost to Michigan State in the process and got killed by number 2 Penn State. They were 8-2 though, and number 24 in the country for a game against number 5 Wisconsin. In this game, Michigan didn't really put up much of a fight, and they lost. Then they had a matchup with Ohio State, and while this game was closer than some of the more recent games, Ohio State had control from the get-go. Michigan had gone 8-4 in the regular season, and now they were matched up against South Carolina in the Outback Bowl, and to everyone's surprise, they lost. This was not a good year for Michigan, and they would need to make a change. Harbaugh would bring in former 5-star recruit and Ole Miss transfer Shea Patterson at quarterback, and Karan Higdon broke out into one of the top running backs in all of college football. Add in the fact that Nico Collins and Donovan Peoples-Jones had began to break out at wide receiver, 2018 looked like it was going to be a good year for Michigan. They lost in week 1 against Notre Dame, but then they went on something known as the Revenge Tour. They beat Western Michigan, SMU, Nebraska, Northwestern, Maryland, number 15 Wisconsin, number 24 Michigan State, number 14 Penn State, Rutgers, and Indiana. They had won 10 straight games and were now ranked number 4 in the country for a pivotal matchup on the road against number 10 Ohio State. Even in a down year for the Buckeyes, Michigan could not get it done as they got blown out 62-39, and they are once again eliminated from the playoff. Just like they always do after they lose to Ohio State, they played a Florida team, and this time they lost to the number 10 Gators in the Peach Bowl. There was a lot of progress, but it was a very disappointing finish to the year. 2019 is where things would stagnate, as Shea Patterson didn't get any better, and they didn't have a true running back or receiver. At this point, Ronnie Bell became the top target, and true freshman Zach Charbonnet became the main running back, but it really wasn't enough. They survived a double overtime thriller against Army, and then went on the road and lost to Wisconsin. They beat number 14 Iowa 10-3, and then had a great game against Penn State, where in their comeback against the Nittany Lions, Ronnie Bell dropped a touchdown. Luckily for them though, they would beat number 8 Notre Dame the following week, and after 3 straight wins, they would climb up as high as number 13 in the polls. As we all know, number 1 Ohio State was not playing around in this game and killed Michigan 56-27. They had gone 9-3 in the regular season, and now they were matched up against a hungry Alabama team in the Citrus Bowl. Saban had no mercy for the Wolverines as they won 35-16. Now we get to 2020. With no more Shea Patterson, there was going to be a quarterback battle between Joe Milton, Cade McNamara, and Dylan McCaffrey. McNamara was on the outside looking in, and Milton would end up beating McCaffrey out, and Dylan would leave. Hassan Haskins became the main running back, and once again, Ronnie Bell was the main receiver. The season didn't go according to plan though, as after beating number 21 Minnesota in week 1, they lost to a bad Michigan State team at home, got killed by Indiana on the road, and then got killed by Wisconsin at home. Things didn't get much better as they barely survived in 3 overtimes against Rutgers and then lost to Penn State in the battle of the falling Big Ten Blue Bloods. Michigan ended up going 2-4, and they could have easily been 1-5, and everyone was starting to write them off. They did find Cade McNamara at the end of the year though, but things were going to be difficult in 2021. They didn't start out ranked, Zach Charbonnet transferred to UCLA, and they still didn't have a go-to receiver. Well, they've proved us all wrong in 2021. So far, McNamara has been alright. A lot of people are calling for him to be benched, but he has been a solid game manager. They want JJ McCarthy to play, but for now, I think McNamara is the guy. The main reason that Michigan's been so good though has been the running game. Blake Corum has emerged as a dark horse Heisman contender as he's ran for 729 yards and 10 touchdowns, and his backup Hassan Haskins has also ran for over 600 yards and 10 touchdowns as well. True freshman Donovan Edwards has also had 2 scores, and we've seen Cornelius Johnson and Dalen Baldwin step up at the receiver spot. The defense has also been stout, and overall, I really like this Michigan team this year. When you take a look at what they've done so far, they beat a pretty good Western Michigan team in week 1, they dismantled a struggling Washington team in week 2, and then they climbed into the polls. They absolutely throttled Northern Illinois, but then they did struggle against Rutgers at home a little bit. After struggling for a little while, they did end up beating Wisconsin 38-17 on the road, and then had a trap game on the road against Nebraska. This game came down to the end, but after Adrian Martinez screwed up, Michigan took advantage of it and kicked a game-winning field goal. This past weekend, they beat Northwestern pretty easily, and now they have one of the biggest matchups in college football this year, as they will play number 8 Michigan State. Game day will be there, and this game is going to be so much fun, and I'm super pumped. The biggest question mark about Michigan is, will their quarterback play be good enough to lead them to the playoff, and will they be able to survive against Michigan State and Penn State? Who knows? If they do though, and they play Ohio State, maybe this will finally be the year where it happens. In my eyes, Michigan football is legit because they have a great running game and the passing game has done enough. I think Michigan is legit because they have a tremendous running game, a great defense, and they haven't made as many mistakes as they usually do. I would like to see the passing game get a little bit better, but that's where JJ McCarthy may have to come in. I don't know how high Cade McNamara's ceiling is, but right now the team is 7-0, so I don't know if I would mess with changing anything. So yeah, in today's video we talked about the rise of Michigan football, what they've done in 2021 so far, and I offered my opinion on whether I think they're legit or not. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section what you think. How are they going to do this weekend? How will they finish the year? And what's another topic I could take a look at next? Before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.